Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
Not long after, General Li also returned to the box. He didn't feel strange when he saw the 12-winged fallen angel Victoria appearing out of thin air in the box. It is normal for a strong person at the demigod level to come and go without a trace. He was just curious about what this 12-winged fallen angel did during the period after he left Xingwu City Demonic Martial Academy. In fact, information about the tragedy that happened in beautiful country and around the world has reached the top officials of Xia country. It's just that I haven't had time to notify him yet. Forrest, General Li spoke. I wanted to continue calling Lin Yu my little friend. But when he saw Victoria, who was covered in blood, he took the initiative to change his words and called Lin Yu classmate Lin. This is a standard title. He wouldn't almost bring disaster to himself like just now. General Li said with a solemn expression, "We agree to all three of your conditions, and after entering the floating island, we will fully cooperate with your kingdom development plan. The only thing we hope is that you can treat everyone equally. Treat your kingdom workers and our people without prejudice." "Certainly," Lin Yu said with a smile. "As long as they enter the floating island, they will all be subjects of the kingdom under my command and will serve me. Naturally, I will not treat them harshly." Hearing this, General Li also breathed a sigh of relief. With this promise from Lin Yu, he can rest assured. Lin Yu is the owner of 014965 Floating Island and is in charge of everything on this floating island. Even the rules of the world are on Lin Yu's side. If Lin Yu wanted to do something to their people, they had absolutely no way to avoid or counter it. Lin Yu's promise was a shot in the arm. No need to worry or be afraid anymore. As for whether Lin Yu would go back on his word, he didn't need to think about it at all. With Lin Yu's current identity and status, the probability of deceiving them with lies is almost non-existent. General Li said, "I will evacuate the people on 013724 Floating Island as soon as possible, but I don't know when we will go to 014965 Floating Island." Lin Yu said, "The people on your island don't need to evacuate. After I capture this floating island, I will integrate it with 014965 Floating Island. As for your legion in Blue Star, I will later set up a time and space channel in the Magic Martial Arts Academy for you to teleport to the island." Lauren is here. General Li expressed his gratitude. Without this space-time channel, it would be very troublesome for them to get on and off the island. After all, the vast majority of their legion members are just ordinary people. There is no professional teleportation mark. If you want to get to the island, you have to rely on the help of other professionals. That would be too much trouble. After thinking for a while, General Li asked again, "Classmate Lin, I wonder when the angel army under your command will enter the battlefield of all realms? Can our army follow them? After I return to the floating island, I will immediately open the door of time and space to the battlefield of all realms." Lin Yu said, "As for your legion, General Li, let me put it bluntly, you will die if you go there. It is better to stay on the floating island and continue to develop. I will simultaneously start a two-way war on the 10,000 Realms battlefield and the floating island. When the time comes, your legion will also participate in the war. I have only occupied 2 of the 14 floating islands. There are still 12 floating islands waiting for me to send an army to capture them, so the opportunities in the world of floating islands are also great." General Li said hesitantly, "Occupying all 14 floating islands will probably cause dissatisfaction among the Blue Star countries." Lin Yu said, "Whether they are in chaos or not is their business and has nothing to do with me. If you can't withstand the pressure, I can send my kingdom's army into Blue Star to help you." General Li's expression suddenly became solemn. "Don't worry, Mr. Lin. We will go all out to deal with Blue Star's problem." Hearing this, Lin Yu couldn't help but smile. "General Li, if there is nothing else, I will leave first, and you should also prepare." Classmate Lin walked slowly. General Li took the initiative to send Lin Yu and others out of the box. It was not until Lin Yu and his party left the restaurant that General Li and others breathed a sigh of relief. Although Lin Yu has always been kind, the pressure on them is unimaginable. Even General Li, who is a peak Holy Dragon Knight, can't stand it. When the holy green dragon in his body sensed the aura and pressure of Lin Yu and the others, he didn't even dare to take a step, as if he was afraid of attracting the attention of Lin Yu and others. Is this the demigod who controls the power of law? Just standing there prevents me from having any disrespectful thoughts. It's absolutely terrible. An extraordinary professional said with lingering fear. General Li said, knowing that demigods are terrifying, you must work harder. Advance to this level as soon as possible so that you can follow the footsteps of the kingdom of heaven and enter the battlefield of all realms. With the protection of the kingdom of heaven, we will go further than other countries. This is a great opportunity that belongs to our Xia kingdom. We must seize it firmly. Clear. All the professionals shouted in unison. At this moment, General Li received a call. The content on the phone made General Li's face change, and his expression was full of horror. That is information about the tragedy of Church of Creation. Finally, the news reached him. Only now did General Li know what the 12-winged fallen angel did after disappearing. Demigods are indeed terrifying beyond imagination. Shortly after Lin Yu left, a figure appeared in this bustling commercial street. This is an old man wearing a black robe. His whole body exuded an extraordinary aura, making passers-by around him afraid to approach. Blue Star has been exposed to extraordinary powers for more than a year, and professionals are often seen. Especially after the large-scale return of Xia Kingdom professionals from 014965 Floating Island, the number of professionals in major cities has surged wildly. You can often meet professionals by chance. However, professionals who reach the extraordinary level are still very rare. And all of them are veteran professionals from a year ago. For such a strong man, people will naturally look at him with awe. However, the old man in black robe had no time to pay attention to the looks of passers-by around him. At this moment, he was looking blankly at the sky above the restaurant not far away. A group of figures rose straight into the sky and flew towards several silver-gray aerial fighters suspended in the clouds. Soon after, this fighter group left. It quickly disappeared from his sight. Too late again. The old man in black robe had a tangled expression. He is none other than City Lord Zhou, who appeared at the demonic martial arts academy before. Before that, he was chatting with Dean Zhang while waiting for the arrival of General Li and others. What he didn't expect was that General Li passed him directly and found Lin Yu. When he gets the news and comes over, the two of them have finished talking and have gone back to their homes. I told you a long time ago that you need to change your dilly-dallying attitude. No matter what you do, you always come a step late. If I encounter danger one day and wait for you to save my life, my body will be cold by the time you come. Dean Zhang also appeared. He also helplessly looked at the group of sky planes flying towards the distant sky and couldn't help but complain about City Lord Zhou. Hearing this, City Lord Zhou twitched his face and then said, General Li and the others were able to leave alive, which at least shows that the atmosphere of the conversation was still very friendly. Dean Zhang rolled his eyes. After thinking about it, he asked, do you want to meet Lin Yu? After all, he is also from Xingwu City, and you are the city lord of Xingwu City. If you can get his support, the future of Xingwu City it must be bright. It's not necessarily true, but with his help, you can be promoted to the holy level, or even to demigod. Never mind. City Lord Zhou simply refused. Lin Yu is a dangerous person. It's best not to get close if you can. Compared to him, what do I, a small city lord, mean to him? As you wish. Dean Zhang didn't try to persuade him again. Like City Lord Zhou, he didn't want to meet Lin Yu again. Just like City Lord Zhou said, Lin Yu is a dangerous person, and he might be kicked out by the 12-winged angels around him just because he said one wrong word. At this moment, City Master Zhou received a call. His expression soon changed. After hanging up the phone, he said with a sigh on his face, fortunately we didn't meet. It was too dangerous. Dean Zhang asked in confusion, what happened? City Lord Zhou said, I just got the news that the 12-winged fallen angel under Lin Yu went to the beautiful country and used some secret technique to kill most of the middle-level members of the Creation Church in various countries in the world in an instant. And high-level officials, more than 30,000 creationists were killed. Suddenly, the whole world is in chaos. Especially the beautiful country, where the most people die. There was also a beautiful country elite in the Combat Command Center, all of whom were also killed. The reason is that they sent an Air Force team to try to intercept the 12 fallen angels. Intercept that fallen angel? Dean Zhang's eyes widened, and he couldn't believe it for a moment. But if you think about it carefully, this seems to be the style of the beautiful country. Those guys are used to being the boss. Even when faced with the Paradise Kingdom that swept across 2 floating islands, it still couldn't grasp its own position. Dean Zhang seemed a little disappointed and said, "It would have been better if the 12-winged fallen angel had been more ruthless." City Lord Zhou naturally understood what Dean Zhang meant. If that happens, the world will be even more chaotic. It might directly trigger a world war. What are you afraid of in a world war? As long as the kingdom of heaven takes action and hundreds of demigods come to Blue Star together, the big mushrooms can be crushed for you. That makes sense. City Lord Zhou nodded. He couldn't help but shudder when he thought of hundreds of demigods who had mastered the power of laws descending on Blue Star. That scene was absolutely terrifying. However, City Lord Zhou and Dean Zhang did not know that the number of demigods in Heaven Kingdom was in the thousands, and it would only take a short time for them to exceed 10,000. The most important is, demigods will soon become the regular combat power of Heaven Kingdom, rather than the top combat power. The reason is very simple. In the spiritual field space of Sacred City, at this moment, Lin Yu has more than 1,000 peak-level demigods under his command who are breaking through the realm. Once successful, there will be more than 1,000 immortal gods. If they come to Blue Star, not to mention the big mushroom, even Blue Star would be beaten to pieces. Just when City Lord Zhou was chatting with Dean Zhang, there were dense crowds of figures gathering towards this commercial street. Soon the surrounding streets were blocked. A rough estimate is that there are at least tens of thousands of people. City Lord Zhou and Dean Zhang thought something was going on somewhere, and were about to send someone to investigate, but someone came over immediately to report that nothing happened. These people came to join in the fun and see the angels. The scene of Lin Yu going shopping with 2 12-winged angels was posted online. This attracted a large number of people from the surrounding area. It was as if a big star had landed in the air. Of course, being an angel is more attractive than a celebrity. After all, there are many creatures like celebrities in the world. But the angel appeared on Blue Star for the first time. Moreover, angels are also creatures in Western mythology and are extremely famous all over the world. Everyone wanted to see with their own eyes what the archangel looked like. These people are really crazy. Dean Zhang couldn't help but complain. Angels are not an ornamental species. Where can I see them if I want to? Especially the 2 12-winged angels beside Lin Yu are incredibly powerful. If this kind of onlookers arouses dissatisfaction on the other side, it may directly cause a catastrophe. With the terrifying strength displayed by the 12-winged fallen angel, there is a high probability that he can easily destroy the entire Xingwu city. This is normal, City Lord Zhou said. Even I want to see the angel with my own eyes. Dean Zhang glanced at him sideways and said, "Then go ahead. As the Lord of Xingwu City, it is possible for Lin Yu to see you. I'm just saying, if you really want to see me, forget it." City Lord Zhou shuddered and shook his head. There is a saying that curiosity killed the cat. He didn't want to die young because of his curiosity about angels. Although he is over 50 years old, as an extraordinary professional, he has already regained his second youth. He also wanted to be promoted to the rank of holy, demigod, or even an eternal god, to glow with more spring, but he did not want to die in the hands of those 2 12-winged angels. What City Lord Zhou and Dean Zhang don't know is, people who want to see angels are not just the surrounding residents and those on the internet. At this moment, in all parts of the Blue Star world, countless people are rushing to grab air tickets to Xia country, because the news of Lin Yu's return to Blue Star has long been spread on the professional forum. There are a terrifying number of Westerners who want to come to Xia Kingdom. For them, this cross-country journey is a pilgrimage. Worship the great Lord of Holy Light. Worship the God they believe in. Among these pilgrims, there are not only ordinary people, but also professionals from all over the world. They also have faith in God. Although Lin Yu is from Xia country, but he has the identity of the Lord of Holy Light of the Angel clan. All angels serve and believe in him. And it is said that as the Lord of Holy Light, his status is higher than that of the supreme god on the battlefield of all realms. Not long ago, a Xia country professional broke the news on the professional forum that when Lin Yu conquered the 014965 floating island, the nature elf queen, the peak demigod, surrendered without a fight with the powerful natural elf empire. The reason is that the founder of the nature elves, the supreme god king and the goddess of nature and elves, personally came to 014965 floating island and ran to Sacred City to meet Lin Yu. This led to the subsequent surrender of the natural elf empire. As the supreme deity, the goddess of nature and elves seems to have to lower her head in front of Lin Yu. This shows how high Lin Yu's status is. For those Westerners, isn't this the template of God? So they don't need to doubt anything at all. Lin Yu is their god. Just come and pay homage. In a short period of time, the crazy Westerners had charged an astronomical price for air tickets to Xia Kingdom. Many people were eager to fly over even if they lost all their money. There are also a large number of Western Christians with strong financial resources who want to immigrate to Xia Kingdom, because this is the hometown of God. Even if we don't see it this time, there will be opportunities in the future. They even wanted to believe that as long as they arrived in Xia Kingdom, they would be blessed by God. The crazy actions of these Westerners have also made countries around the world that were already in chaos even more chaotic. But the problem is, the top leaders of various countries dare not step forward to stop it, because there are too many Westerners. Among them are many elites in various fields. If it's not done well, the negative impact will be huge. Even direct rebellion is possible. Therefore, high-level officials from all over the world could only contact the Xia Kingdom officials again and again and tried their best to cooperate with the Western believers' pilgrimage. And for Xiagua, this is also a good thing, because it can stand out from countless Western believers from all over the world. The first batch of pilgrims are basically elites and heavyweights from all over the world. If these people can be retained in Xia Kingdom, then Xia Kingdom's strength will definitely increase by leaps and bounds. Just like when the beautiful country absorbed the wealth and elite talents from all over the world. Beautiful country can do it. Xiagua can do the same, or even do it better. Leave the people and wealth behind first, and then conquer the country behind them. In the future, the Xia Kingdom will definitely be able to surpass the beautiful country and dominate the Blue Star. At the same time, Lin Yu also came to a familiar place. That's his home. This is a somewhat old neighborhood. Except for the decent greening in the community, there are basically no other facilities that offer any advantages. Along the way, there were familiar sights and familiar people. However, no one greeted Lin Yu, because all eyes were attracted by the two 12-winged angels following him. Angelia and Victoria, one is holy, the other is evil. Both are extremely beautiful. It's just that Victoria's body shape is a bit exaggerated. It is taller than the trees in the community. Everyone standing near her turned into dwarfs. This is also the fundamental reason why Lin Yu didn't want to bring Victoria to Blue Star at first. Fortunately, after entering the battlefield of all realms, Victoria can be promoted to the level of a god, and then master the ability to shrink her body. By then, Lin Yu will be able to keep pace with her. Soon, Lin Yu returned to his home. Angelia and Director Subin were followed by him. As for Victoria, she could only stay outside, which made her very unhappy. A standard set of 2 bedrooms and 1 living room. The home decoration is also very simple, which shows that the owner is not a rich person. Nearly a month has passed, and the furnishings at home have not changed at all. There is even a faint trace of dust on the coffee table in the living room. Angelia, this is my home in Blue Star. I have never seen my father for as long as I can remember. My mother also left a year ago, leaving me only a memory and a deposit that was enough for me to graduate from the Magic Martial Arts Academy. While speaking, Lin Yu waved his right hand. With the sweep of the power of law, the entire suite became spotless and clean as new. But I always believed that she did not die. She just went somewhere I don't know. Hearing this, Su Yi on the side quickly asked, "Did you go to the floating island?" Lin Yu said, "When my mother left, the world floating island had not yet arrived." Su Yi suddenly became speechless. Angelia said, My lord can use the power of the law of destiny to find traces of you, your mother. Lin Yu shook his head and said, I tried it, but it didn't work. I can't find a trace. It's like she doesn't exist at all. This is the reason why I am most confused, but I firmly believe that she is still alive. Can't you find the law of destiny? Angelia looked stunned. In her opinion, the probability of this possibility is almost non-existent. Unless the mother of the Lord of Holy Light is not an ordinary person, but a very powerful existence that can directly block the connection with the law of fate. Could it be it? Angelia was shocked and thought to herself, if it is it, it is not impossible. After all, it was the last person my lord saw before stripping off his godhood and divinity. Angelia even guessed. The rebirth of the Lord of Holy Light is also very likely to be his cooperation and help along the way, including guarding the Lord of Holy Light after his rebirth. Angelia said, My lord, don't worry. After you are promoted to the realm of true gods, the power of the law of destiny will become more powerful. By then, you can try to sense it again. Lin Yu nodded. His current state of mind is very calm, and he is not anxious at all, because he always firmly believes that as long as his power is strong enough, he can achieve any goal. Even if something unexpected happened to my mother, he could forcefully reverse time and resurrect her. At this time, Supervisor Su suddenly said, Classmate Lin, it seems that I have never heard you mention your other relatives. You have been on the floating island for so long, and they have not said that they will come to help you clean your room. I have no relatives. Lin Yu shook his head simply and said, I have lived with my mother since I can remember, and I have never met any so-called relatives. There is a question about relatives. Lin Yu had also used the power of the law of destiny to check it before. The result is still nothing. Grandparents, 3 aunts, and 8 aunts. None of them exist. It felt to Lin Yu as if he and his mother had jumped out of a stone. Since discovering this problem, he also had some doubts that he was really the reincarnation of the Lord of Holy Light. For example, he hatched from a certain egg. As for Lin Ma, she is not his mother at all, but his guardian. This is not impossible. After all, fate is fickle and anything can happen. After hearing Lin Yu's words, Angelia deepened her suspicions again. As for class instructor Su, he looked confused and thought to himself, I am an orphan, a widower, and have no relatives. Could it be that classmate Lin's family moved from another city and cut off all contact with relatives at home? From her perspective, she could only think of these. As for what the law of destiny is and what its purpose is, she doesn't know. If she knew, she would definitely not think this way. Okay, don't mention this. Lin Yu said with a smile. Teacher Su, you can stay for dinner. My secretarian's cooking skills are quite good. You can have a try. Amelia Su agreed. However, she was the one cooking, because the thought of a 12-winged angel cooking food for her made her feel awkward all over. God, how could such an elegant, holy, and beautiful angel enter the kitchen to cook? Even as a woman, she felt very distressed. She felt that maybe Lin Yu had too many angels under his command, so she didn't care. But how could Sui know? In the process of serving Lin Yu was enjoying it, and Angelia was also enjoying it. For Angelia, this is the highest honor. Victoria is eager to serve the Lord of Light, but she hasn't found the opportunity yet. Moreover, when the Lord of Holy Light returns to his peak, she will have no chance to do such a thing again. During dinner, Su-yi found an opportunity to express to Lin Yu her desire to go to 014965 Floating Island and become a professional in Paradise Kingdom. Lin Yu naturally did not refuse. This made Amelia Su very happy, looking forward to the beautiful life after joining Paradise Kingdom. At night, the moon and stars are sparse. Lin Yu is lying on the bed. Angelia also curled up quietly in Lin Yu's arms. This night, the two did not exchange the secret of the law. Lin Yu's mood also showed an unprecedented tranquility. It even entered an ethereal state. He opened his eyes and looked at the big light on the ceiling of the bedroom, not knowing what he was thinking. At the same time, in his body, the power of creation was overwhelming, and the power of more than 500 original laws of different attributes was increasing on its own. Although he did not practice, didn't discuss the rules with Angelia, but his strength is getting stronger strangely. This makes Lin Yu himself unable to explain why. It's as if Blue Star is his holy land of practice. He doesn't have to do anything, just stay here, and his power will increase at a terrifying speed. Logically speaking, this is an impossible thing to happen. After all, Blue Star is just a mortal planet. We have just entered the extraordinary era, and even the rules of the world have not yet been born. Without the rules of the world and the magic power of the elements of heaven and earth, even ordinary professionals cannot cultivate them. Ordinary people who want to become professionals in Blue Star do not rely on practicing secret techniques, let alone spiritual meditation, because that is useless. You can only use spiritual objects like spiritual rice that contain magic power and can improve your physical condition. A mortal world where even ordinary professionals cannot be born naturally. Here, Lin Yu was able to quickly increase his strength and strengthen the origin of the law. This is somewhat incredible. In the end, Lin Yu could only define this weird incident as related to his current peaceful state of mind. I don't know how long it took. Angelia suddenly hugged Lin Yu's waist gently and asked, "What is my lord thinking?" Lin Yu said with a smile, "I'm wondering whether you are a new angel, or like Gladys and others, an old angel who has descended to the lower realm." Lin Yu had wanted to ask this question before when he was on the floating island. Hear Lin Yu's words. Angelia was silent for a few seconds. After thinking for a long time, she finally said, "Reply to my lord. I have lowered myself to the lower realm. I did not mean to deceive my lord, but I was worried that speaking out would ruin my lord's plan." Lin Yu secretly said that it was true. Then he wondered, "What is my plan?" Angelia said, 50 million years ago, after the war between the holy demon and the holy demon, you suddenly stripped off your creation godhead and divinity and left your divine domain. No one knows why you do this. No one knows where you went. In order to find you, our angel family has used all means to search all over the universe, but we have never been able to find you. The entire Lord's domain is in chaos. It was also at that time. Astia and the other 3 18-winged archangels have gone to extremes. They brought a group of high-ranking angels who were loyal to them and voluntarily fell to pursue more powerful power. The purpose is also to find you and welcome you back to the Lord's God realm. We don't know whether what Astia and the others did was right or wrong, but in order to prevent more angels from falling and entering the realm of extreme evil, we created hell and sealed them away. Astia and the 3 of them have no objection to this. Because in hell, they can have more direct contact with the power of corruption. Time flies, and 50 million years have passed. You entered the floating island of all realms without any warning. At that moment, your will simultaneously shook the Lord's God realm. We finally sensed your presence. Angels are not a military unit of the floating island of all realms. It's because we forcibly interfered with the rules of the world here. Perhaps it was the guidance of fate that you chose us among the 5 military units. After listening, Lin Yu was silent for a long time. Angelia's words revealed a history of 50 million years for him. He couldn't help but be shocked. Suddenly, he smiled and said, "What would have happened to you if I had chosen Titan instead of Angel?" Angelia said, "My lord, I believe there will be no what-ifs, because the fate has already been determined." Right. Lin Yu accepted this answer. Destiny is an extremely mysterious force. Even though he has now mastered the origin of the law of destiny's power, he is far from being able to completely see through destiny. At this time, Angelia continued, "So we always believed that you had a plan and purpose to strip away the godhood and divinity of creation. Unfortunately, we are weak and unable to peak. The only thing we can do is to serve you, follow your will, and help you complete your plan. But many times we don't dare to expose ourselves too much. I'm just worried about affecting you. Originally, Victoria and I should not have appeared in front of you." Lin Yu perked up and listened quietly. "Sure enough," Angelia said softly, "Victoria, like me, is an 18-winged archangel, bred from the original reincarnation pool created by you." Hearing this, Lin Yu's expression suddenly became dull. There is a feeling of passive suffocation. Angelia is actually an 18-winged archangel? This was something Lin Yu didn't expect. He originally thought that even if Angelia really downgraded herself and surpassed the 12-winged angel at her peak, she would only be a 16-winged angel at most, and most likely a 14-winged angel. After all, the entire angel family, tens of thousands of angels. There are only 7 18-winged archangels. They govern the entire Lord's divine realm, not only possessing supreme power and status, but their own divine status has also reached the level of the supreme gods, which is the level of the goddess of nature and elves. How could such a supreme being willingly degrade himself? Become a little 4-winged angel. How big is the loss? Therefore, Angelia's answer directly shocked Lin Yu. The expression on his face was dull, extremely unbelievable. What he didn't expect at the same time was that the 12-winged fallen angel Victoria, who was staying outside alone to look at the stars at the moment, was actually an 18-winged archangel. 2 of the 7 18-winged archangels from the angel clan suddenly appeared next to him. This really makes Lin Yu feel a little weird. It feels like being the millionaire you originally thought turned out to be the richest man in the world. The psychological gap is really too big. The key is, he actually had an in-depth communication with an 18-winged archangel, and it lasted for so many days. He was a little confused for a moment. It wasn't until a long time later that Lin Yu came back to his senses. After taking a long breath, he said, "Your loss is too great. If you had not arrived on the floating island, you would still be the 18-winged archangels who control the supreme power." Angelia said with a solemn expression, "As long as we can serve the Lord, we will not hesitate even if we completely lose our supreme power." What's the meaning? Your original strength has not disappeared. Lin Yu perked up and asked quickly. Angelia explained, "The floating island is a very weak, extraordinary world that cannot bear our divine power. If you want to get in, the best way is to seal the Godhead and divinity in your body. This is also the reason why my body can go down to the next world, after landing on the floating island. In order to help my Lord develop the kingdom of heaven, I am also constantly collecting the original power of the floating island, so as to unlock the seal bit by bit and gradually increase my strength." Bit by bit indeed. Angelia didn't even dare to unblock too much at once. It was because they were worried that the world rules of the floating island could not be sustained and collapsed. That's good. Lin Yu breathed a sigh of relief. Angelia has not lost her supreme power, which is good news for him. After all, it is very difficult to rebuild it again. Victoria is the same as you? That's not true, Angelia said. Those high-ranking fallen angels, including Victoria, have stripped away their divinity and temporarily existed in the Lord's divine realm. This is because the divine power of fallen angels is too evil. It's difficult to block their fallen divine power with a seal. If we want not to affect the floating island world, we can only peel it off. However, my Lord, don't worry. When they return to the Lord's divine realm, they will be able to easily merge their godhood and divinity, thus returning to their peak power." Hearing this, Lin Yu was completely relieved. He said with emotion, "No wonder you and Victoria both master the origin of hundreds of laws with different attributes. It turns out that you are both 18-winged archangels." "My Lord." Angelia opened her pink lips. "In fact, the number of law origins we have at our disposal exceeds 2,000. Most of the law origins cannot be revealed, lest the rules of the floating island world cannot bear it." Lin Yu was speechless for a moment. What else could he say? It's strange that he now has mastered the origin of more than 500 laws, but he still feels that Angelia's power is bottomless. The fundamental reason is that he is still far from reaching Angelia's bottom line. Lin Yu asked, "How many sources of laws are there in the world?" Angelia said, "Report to my Lord. There are 3,000 laws in the world. Destiny, time and space, cause and effect, creation, destruction are all included. Original law, regardless of level or strength, it is possible to be promoted upwards. When the level of the origin of the law reaches the level of the Lord God, you can be promoted to the Lord God with great divine power. If you reach the highest level, you can be promoted to the Supreme God King. Generally speaking, the more gods of the same level possess laws of the same realm, the stronger they will be, and the more vast the divine power in their bodies will be. Immediately, Angelia informed Lin Yu. Among the more than 2,000 original laws she has mastered, only 146 have reached the highest level. The rest are basically the main God-level laws. A few laws have not even reached the level of the Lord God. But even so, her strength can still dominate the battlefields of all realms. Even the goddess of nature and elves is not her opponent at her peak. Lin Yu asked curiously, how many supreme laws did the Lord of Holy Light master at his peak? Angelia shook her head and said, you have never mastered even one supreme law, but you are the great creator, and you can create all the laws of the world out of thin air. Back then, you used the power of creation to create and integrate thousands of supreme laws, and defeated the demon emperor of the void in one fell swoop. Lin Yu was secretly surprised. I thought that the old man, the Lord of Holy Light, was really powerful. Angelia, who masters more than 100 supreme laws, can become one of the top supreme gods, running rampant in the center of the universe, the battlefield of all realms. But the old man, the Lord of Holy Light, is able to create and integrate more than 1,000 supreme laws. The terrifying power far exceeds the level of the supreme god. No wonder the goddess of nature and elves did not dare to take a breath when she saw him. However, Angelia's words also awakened Lin Yu. If he takes the path of law, he may be able to rival or even surpass the Lord of Holy Light in the future. To give a very simple example, there are 3,000 kinds of laws in the world. Every original law can be promoted to the supreme law. If he could master all 3,000 laws and advance them to the level of the supreme laws, he would most likely be even more powerful than the Lord of Holy Light. Another point is that the fusion of more than 1,000 supreme laws can defeat the Demon King, the ruler of the Void Demon clan. If he masters and integrates 3,000 supreme laws, then wouldn't it be as easy for him to beat the Demon Emperor of the Void as he was to beat his son? Of course, if this is the case, it is definitely extremely difficult to truly master the 3,000 supreme laws. As an 18-winged archangel, Angelia has practiced for hundreds of millions of years and has only mastered more than 100 supreme laws. She is still far from the perfection of the 3,000 supreme laws. For Lin Yu to get to this point, it can be said to be more difficult than reaching the sky. All I can say is, this is a dream. Lin Yu asked with some confusion. Angelia, why doesn't the Lord of Holy Light even master one of the original laws? I believe that with his strength, it is not difficult to understand the secrets of the laws. Angelia didn't care that Lin Yu referred to himself in the third person. I don't know all the information about you, but according to my guess, it should have something to do with your body. You were born at the beginning of the universe, when chaos enveloped the world. At that time, there was no such thing as law in the universe, and your body was also filled with the power of chaos. The only thing you have control over is the power of creation. Perhaps it's because the power of chaos in your body rejects the power of law. That's why you can't master it. Of course, this is just my guess. What is the specific reason? You will understand it after you return to the peak and merge the Creator Godhead and divinity. Hearing this, Lin Yu nodded slightly. He said, the reason why the Lord of Holy Light was reborn is most likely because he glimpsed the future war and felt that his power was not strong enough, so he chose to rebuild. My intuition tells me that practicing the law is a path to becoming stronger. If possible, I will master all the origins of the 3,000 laws in the world and create the strongest foundation. The war in the prophecy of the Lord of Holy Light was far more dangerous than the war between saints and demons tens of millions of years ago. The enemy may no longer be just the void demons. There are also the omnics and eternity in the prophecy. If he remains the same as before, he will most likely be doomed. Therefore, he must break through himself. He has to become more powerful than the old man, the Lord of Holy Light. Angelia said, Great Lord of Holy Light, no matter what happens in the future, I will follow you and advance and retreat with you. Hearing this, Lin Yu hugged Secretarian tighter in her arms. Even for Secretarian, for Elena, Cheryl, Doris, and for the angel family who firmly believed in him, he had to straighten up. After all, how could he enjoy this wonderful life if he died? Afterwards, the two chatted for a long time. While chatting, the exchange of rules began. It's not just Lin Yu who wants to become stronger. Angelia also has her own goals. In this era, she must be promoted to the level of the Holy Angel of Chaos to help the Great Lord of Holy Light protect the universe. It starts again. The outside of a residential building. Victoria was sitting on the steps of the gate, holding the sword of fallen angels burning with black flames in one hand. The expression on her beautiful face showed a little unhappiness. She could hear clearly what was going on upstairs. This made her feel irritable. When she was bored, she tried to unlock her identity. Although her supreme godhood and divinity are sealed in hell, once the person of the 18-winged fallen archangel is unsealed, she can still obtain the power of the god level and shrink the body of the fallen angel easily. Suddenly, Victoria let out a light sigh, because she suddenly discovered that the process of unsealing her personality did not cause a shock to the Blue Star world. In other words, she can maintain her status as an 18-winged fallen archangel in this world. How is this going? Is it because this world has no rules in the first place, so it can carry the power of my personality? Weak rules cannot carry the power of more advanced rules. But in a world without rules, you can do whatever you want. This is one of Victoria's guesses. Of course, it does not rule out that this world is huge and can accommodate all forces, just like the battlefield of all realms. However, this possibility is very low. In the end, Victoria gave up on unblocking because once her identity was unblocked, she would not be able to enter 014965 Floating Island. The incompetent world rules could not carry her power at all. Hold on. If nothing else happens, my lord should return to the floating island tomorrow and enter the 10,000 realms battlefield at the same time. At that time, I can become a god in place and shrink my body. One night passed. Lin Yu woke up very comfortable. The whole person's energy were extremely strong. Just like a car that has been filled with oil after maintenance, the whole body is smooth and full of energy. Then he sensed his own body and discovered that the number of original laws he had mastered was close to 600. This discovery shocked Lin Yu. You know, he did not have a serious exchange of laws with Angelia last night. It would be understandable if the original power of the laws that we had mastered before were improved because of the ethereal state of mind. But what are the origins of the sudden increase in laws? Obviously, he didn't understand it. This feeling is like being in a fantasy world and having hundreds of years of extra cultivation after sleeping. This is very incredible. Lin Yu did not wake up Angelia, who was sleeping beside him. Sit up cross-legged with gentle hands and feet, and use your consciousness to mobilize the origin of the law of time in your body. He wants to go back in time. Look what happened to his body last night. Soon, under the influence of the origin of the law of time, countless pictures emerged in Lin Yu's sea of consciousness. After a while, he noticed something unusual. After he ended his communication with Angelia and fell asleep, the power of creation in his body began to vibrate again. And with each round of shock, a secret of the original law will be created and then integrated into his body. In the process, the power of faith stored in his body was also burning. This is providing energy for the power of creation. After a total of 9 rounds of creation, Lin Yu's body also miraculously successfully mastered a complete secret of the original law. Then comes the second, third. What goes around comes around. In one night, Lin Yu mastered the secrets of dozens of original laws with different attributes. It's all the creative power in the body that is working hard on its own. Is this okay? Lin Yu was stunned. He had no idea that the power of creation in his body would actually learn to be self-reliant. Could it be that he dislikes his slow growth? So you just support yourself? At this time, Angelia woke up and looked at the strange expression on Lin Yu's handsome face and asked doubtfully, "My lord, what happened?" Lin Yu informed Angelia of his findings. After listening, Angelia was also stunned. With hundreds of millions of years of cultivation experience and knowledge, this is the first time she has heard of such a thing. As everyone knows, it is very difficult to comprehend the profound meaning of the original law. Ordinary demigods may only be able to understand the origin and meaning of one or two laws in their lifetime, so they have to choose to light the divine fire. And even though she is an 18-winged archangel of the angel clan and has practiced for hundreds of millions of years, she has only understood the origin of laws with more than 2,000 different attributes. Putting aside the levels of those original laws, under normal circumstances, every time you understand the secret of the origin of a law, the difficulty will increase dramatically. The further you get to the back, the harder it is to understand. As for sleeping, dozens of more sources of laws appeared in the body. She had never heard of such a thing. It was simply magical. Angelia thought for a while and said, "My lord, the power of creation is your exclusive power. It can create everything in the world and is above all original laws. At this stage, only you can unlock the mystery of the power of creation." Secretary and had no way to explain this kind of thing. After all, she does not have the power of creation. He himself has not reached the level of Chaos Holy Angel. If those two Chaos Holy Angels were here, they might be able to clear up the confusion of the Lord of Holy Light. The reason is simple. They were created by the Lord of Light through the pure power of creation. On the other hand, their 7 18-winged archangels were all born from the primordial reincarnation pool, created by the Lord of Holy Light. There was an extra link in the middle, which caused them to fail to reach the level of the holy angels of chaos. Lin Yu nodded. Then he smiled and said, "It doesn't matter even if you don't understand. After all, this is a good thing. Originally, I was still worried about how to master the 3,000 origin laws, ignite the divine fire with the strongest foundation, and become a god. This way, things will be much simpler." He still doesn't know whether it was because he returned to Blue Star that he stimulated the power of creation in his body and made it learn to be self-reliant. Even if that's the case, it's easy to handle. At worst, he would be on the battlefield of all realms during the day and take Secretarian back to Blue Star to sleep at night. And if it is simply because of the power of creation that one learns self-growth, that would be even better. It won't be long before he can realize his dream. Get up. Go to the Magic Martial Arts Academy first and open up the space-time channel. After that, we will return to the floating island and enter the battlefield of all realms. Lin Yu's thoughts at this moment also drifted to this sacred city. After a whole day, he thought that the more than 1,000 peak demigods under his command should have broken through. Angelia nodded slightly. Then he got up and helped Lin Yu get dressed and wash up. The community is surprisingly quiet. Even the sound of birds disappeared. When Lin Yu closed the door and led Angelia to the door of the building one after another, he was shocked to see a dense number of people kneeling and worshiping outside. It extends from the entrance of the building to the outside of the community. There were at least thousands of people kneeling. The scene is very spectacular. Among them, there are beautiful Huxia with blonde hair and blue eyes, and there are also people from other countries. One thing they have in common is that they are all Western Christians. And he is a Westerner with extremely crazy beliefs. Some of them entered Xia Kingdom overnight and rushed here. The reason why these Westerners know Lin Yu's residence is simply because Lin Yu doesn't avoid people wherever he goes. He, Angelia, and Victoria's group had already been photographed and posted on the internet, including their whereabouts into this community. These thousands of crazy Westerners were the first to get the news and rushed over as soon as possible. In addition to them, more and more Western Christians are gathering here, because here is the God they believe in. "My lord." At this time, Victoria came over respectfully. In her hand, she still held the fallen angel sword burning with black flames. Lin Yu discovered that when those Western Christians looked at Victoria, instead of fear, there was incomparable awe in their eyes, and even a trace of excitement. Perhaps they regarded Victoria as a fallen angel similar to Lucifer. At the same time, this also made them believe that Lin Yu is the God they believe in. After all, Lucifer is also an angel created by God. In Western Christian mythology, Lucifer is a primitive angel with extremely powerful divine power. He controls a large angel army. Together with Michael and Gabriel, he is the commander of the angel army. Lucifer rebelled against God because God made all the angels kneel before the sun. However, the unruly Lucifer chose to refuse, because Lucifer believed that the sun did not inherit the power of God, not worthy of his awe and loyalty. Of course, this is a Western myth. It has nothing to do with the angel clan created by the Lord of Holy Light. However, even knowing this will not hinder Westerners' fanatical belief in Lin Yu. In the eyes of Westerners, Lin Yu has the allegiance of the angel clan, and his status is higher than the supreme god, so he must be the god in their Western canon, and it has to be. Lin Yu nodded towards Victoria. His eyes also stayed for a few seconds on Victoria's beautiful cheeks and perfect body with golden proportions. Now that he knows that Victoria is also an 18-winged archangel, he will have to prepare some time to communicate with Victoria in the future, including the other 5 18-winged archangels. Just at this time, those Westerners who were kneeling on the ground also saw Lin Yu. Suddenly, they became excited. Even my breathing was quickened. Great Lord, you created the universe and the stars, the sky and the earth. You created mankind and all things. You are the Almighty God, merciful and fraternal. Please have mercy on your humble believers. Give us the gospel and guide us in the way forward. Praise be to you, my God. The Westerners prayed fervently to Lin Yu. Their prayers could be heard throughout the neighborhood. I have to admit that Lin Yu actually felt their faith in him. With the help of the connection of faith, he can also understand these voices from all over the world. However, facing the prayers of these Westerners, Lin Yu did not speak, but turned his eyes to Angelia aside. As the secretary of the Lord of Holy Light, Angelia immediately stood up and said to the Western believers who were kneeling on the ground, "Firm faith has opened the door to the divine world for you, and the great Lord of Holy Light will protect you. His followers, believe in the Lord and receive eternal life." Secretary N's words were conveyed through spiritual power to all the Western Christians present. They were extremely excited, shouting in their respective languages, "Believe in the Lord and receive eternal life." Too crazy. It also scared people hiding nearby. Among these people, there are ordinary people and professionals. They are not Westerners. They just come to see the angels and join in the fun. The scene in front of them immediately shocked them. But for Lin Yu, these are just small scenes. He had seen the image of tens of millions of angels kneeling together to worship him more than once, not to mention the mere thousands of Western Christians. It was really nothing. Just when Lin Yu was about to leave, several figures suddenly walked over quickly. Judging from their appearance, they are all from beautiful countries, and their identities seem to be not simple. The leader was a middle-aged man, holding a black briefcase in his hand. He glanced at Victoria holding the fallen angel's sword with a look full of horror, then looked at Lin Yu and said very sincerely, "Your Majesty Lin Yu, I am a diplomatic envoy from the beautiful country. For what happened yesterday, our beautiful country expresses our most sincere apologies. This is our gift to you. I also hope to use this to establish a deep friendship with you and your heavenly kingdom." With that said, he stepped forward and handed the black briefcase to Lin Yu. But Victoria stopped him directly and took it over. When he opened it, he saw drawings that exuded a pale golden light. Rough estimate. There should be thousands of drawings. If all of them are high-end and top-level drawings, then my Liguo is still very sincere. The middle-aged man from the beautiful country said to Lin Yu, "There are a total of 1,300 drawings here, including equipment forging drawings, troop number drawings, exclusive troop evolution drawings, etc. Although your Majesty Lin Yu cannot use it, you can still sell it to our professionals on the floating island and get a huge amount of gold coins. The blueprints, equipment, and other items of different floating islands cannot be used universally. It's like the equipment Lin Yu brought back from 014965 floating island, which can be sold to other floating island professionals for them to use on Blue Star, but they cannot bring the equipment to their floating island. This is obviously Wanjie floating island, to prevent veteran professionals from cheating and help new professionals. Under normal circumstances, equipment, blueprints, and other items on each island can be exchanged until each floating island is connected. This is a pretty good gift." Lin Yu waved his right hand and put all the drawings into the space artifact. He said to the middle-aged man with a smile. I have received your beautiful country's sincerity, and I can forget about yesterday's incident. Hearing this, the middle-aged man's mouth suddenly twitched. It was obviously their beautiful country that suffered a big loss. Hundreds of elites in a combat command center died cleanly, and they also lost a team of sky condors. As a result, when Lin Yu came here, it was past the past. It's as if Lin Yu is the one who suffers. However, he could only choose to accept Lin Yu's words. Because the situation is stronger than the people. Facing Lin Yu and the heavenly kingdom that was too powerful to contend with, their beautiful country could only lower their heads and take the initiative to bring gifts to express their apology. The middle-aged man asked with a smile on his face, Your Majesty Lin Yu, what do you think about the friendship between our beautiful country and the paradise country? This is their main purpose of coming here. Now, what the beautiful country is worried about is not the paradise kingdom, sending an army of angels to station on Blue Star, but the invasion of the floating island world where they are located. If their floating island is captured by Paradise Kingdom, like Sakura Country, Bangzi Country, and other floating islands where exotic professionals live, then their losses will be even greater. It may even be directly eliminated by the extraordinary era. The purpose of establishing friendship is to avoid this happening. Lin Yu smiled lightly and said, Let's talk about this later. Let's go. The last words were spoken by Lin Yu to Angelia and Victoria. Just kidding. How could he establish a so-called friendship with the beautiful country? Isn't that losing the watermelon and picking up the sesame seeds? He also wants the blueprints, and he also wants to capture the floating island. As for whether the beautiful Congress will be eliminated by the extraordinary era because of this, what does it have to do with him? The voice fell. The figures of Lin Yu and the others disappeared out of thin air. The middle-aged man opened his mouth, but no words came out, and he stood there with a confused expression. Sir, we seem to have been tricked. Shit, do I still need you to remind me? The middle-aged man's face turned green with anger. He traveled thousands of miles overnight. Not only did he fail to achieve his planned plan, but he also lost more than 1,000 precious drawings. It can be said that he lost both his wife and his army. Let's go? Go back quickly. My intuition tells me that we don't have much time left. Perhaps it won't be long before the angel army from the kingdom of heaven will invade our floating island. We must do our best to prepare for a defensive counterattack. Even if I try my best, I can't let Lin Yu succeed. Without delay, the middle-aged man quickly led the team and left the community. As for the thousands of Western Christians, they did not disperse for a long time. Some of those who acted quickly have already bought houses in the community and are ready to live there for a long time. What a privilege it is to live in the same community as God. The other side. Lin Yu and the other three came to the Magic Martial Arts Academy. After Dean Zhang learned the news, he immediately brought Supervisor Su over to greet him. He had a bright smile and was very enthusiastic. After all, I couldn't take my vacation successfully because my superiors were pressing me. Dean Zhang said with a smile. Classmate Lin, welcome back. Lin Yu said with a smile. Dean, there is no need to be so polite. We will leave after the time and space channel is opened. That's regretful. Dean Zhang said with great disappointment. Yesterday, things were in a hurry and there was no time to prepare. No, I booked a box at the best restaurant in the city early in the morning and prepared to entertain classmate Lin and the two angels. Yeah, Lin Yu said with a smile. The same goes for returning to the floating island after eating. Dean Zhang. Seeing that Dean Zhang was speechless, Lin Yu was also a little happy. Then he ignored Dean Zhang and released the original laws of time and space, opening a space-time channel with a diameter of tens of meters on the college's playground. At the same time, the world rules of 014965 Floating Island are connected with consciousness, and this time and space channel is completely connected. The exit of the space-time channel was placed on the 36 islands in the bay by Lin Yu. Not only are there many islands, but the soil is fertile and various resources are also very abundant, which is very suitable for Xia Kingdom to develop there. One more thing. There is a dragon clan guarding the 36 islands in the bay. The offshore area in the west is the Sea Empire where Queen Medusa is migrating. To the north, inland, is the fertile area under the jurisdiction of the Illuminati. In the other two directions, there is the endless sea. It can be said that this is an absolutely great place. With the strength of Xia State, it is already very good to be able to develop the 36 islands in the bay within a few years. Let's talk about the future. Let's go. While thinking, Lin Yu took Angelia and Victoria directly into the time and space channel. The sexy and beautiful Su Yi, after saying hello to Dean Zhang, also entered the space-time channel and teleported to 014965 Floating Island.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.